Hey, what's up guys? Your BIM guy Sam here today with another new fresh Revit tutorial. Now in today's tutorial, we're gonna focus on how to come up with concrete elements on the buildings such as beams, columns, slabs, footings, and so on. So I'm gonna walk you through and exactly how to put them all together according to the design, and then later on our very next video, I'll show you how to exactly reinforce them in terms of all the longitudinal and transverse reinforcements. Now let's take a look at this fancy architectural model that we've done so far together. So which is going to be basically the guideline on how we're going to create up the concrete building today on it. And then as we go further, we just dive deeper into the details and we just make the model getting more fully detailed. And now, if by any chance you haven't yet find the chance to check out the last video, which was about how we came up with this architectural model, just simply check out my YouTube channel. And if you haven't yet subscribed yourself, make sure to subscribe, as every week I hit you up with another new, fresh Revit tutorial. Okay, so now to do the concrete version of the structural model of this current model, what I need to do is initially open up a new fresh structural template and link this architectural model in it. So what I need to do is simply close all the architectural view from this model. So simply make sure that you all close it. Open up a new fresh structural template. So simply click on new, make sure that the template that you're choosing to work is on structural one. Simply click on OK. And here, the very first thing that we need to do is to first link our architectural model into this file. So simply I'm going to go up there to the Insert tab, simply click on Link Revit, and navigate until you found the architectural model. There you go with our architectural model. Just leave all the settings and properties as what it is, as we're all fine with it. Click on Open. So you can see the linked architectural model right now here. So the very first thing that you guys need to do whenever you wanted to open up a new template and start up building your model is set up your unit. So simply click on UN, the shortcut for the unit setup, and simply put it on meters, 2 decimal places, unit symbol on them, and you're all good to go. Simply click on OK, and the level is all set up. Also, I would like to emphasize that it's super important to always make sure that the level of the details is on fine. So don't forget, whatever sort of view that you just start working with it, make sure that you're working with the fine. The very next thing that we need to do is to make sure that the model is fully appeared here. So I can see that we're missing a lot on some elements that was already included into the model, but we wouldn't be able to see it. So how I would be able to just bring the full model on is to simply make sure that the discipline that here I'm working with this is going to be on coordination. So simply put this on coordination. Still, I can see that some elements are missing. So to be able to bring up all the elements that were already prepared into our architectural model, simply you need to go to Visibility and Graphics setting. So simply press on VG, you reach out here, simply press on All, just simply check all the boxes, press on Apply, another OK, and now you're all fine with all the elements getting appeared. Cool. Now the next thing, in order to start up building up our own structural model, is to set up the levels. So I need to, in order to basically set up the levels, I need to reach out to a random elevation. So I simply go on North. So you can see right now 2 parts of the levels. One of them, or let's say one set of levels, is already for your architectural model. Here I'm going to click onto the second one and simply shift it right. So as you can see, those are the structural levels and these are the architectural levels. Now I believe the height of 3 meters is all fine with our structural model, as I'm going to show you guys later that when the concrete slab is going to get added to our model, how perfectly they're going to get matched together. So let's stick to 3 meters, but I need to add more levels. So to add more levels, simply you need to go to the Architecture tab, click on Level onto the Datum tab up there, simply put it on peak line, make sure to put it on 3 meters, or let's say this time I'm going to put it on 0.20, okay? Because I'm going to use the architectural levels to place on the structural levels. So simply click on here, just bring the point viewer to the level line, make sure that the blue cut lines are all getting appeared, and simply click on them. So as you can see, right now the levels are all getting appeared up there. What I'm going to do is to simply shift all these levels together to make sure that they're getting perfectly organized here. Make sure that you're all good with the bubbles up there. So as you can see, this is the levels that we already set up them. Okay, cool. So I'm going to get back on level 1 and start up building our own structural concrete model. So the very first thing in order to build up the concrete columns is to make sure that you guys are all good with the grid lines. But right now we wouldn't be able to use these grid lines because those sort of grid lines is already one set of file which you wouldn't be able to differentiate it from the original model back into the architectural model. So we need to draw our own structural grid lines. So to draw our own structural grid lines, simply I'm going to go onto the architecture tab, onto the datum tab up there, simply press on grid lines, pick the pick lines, and simply just start on clicking on architectural lines or grid lines. Alright, and if by any chance you're missing on some other structural grid lines and you need to add more which was not already considered into the architectural model, simply click on line and start drawing them. But since this is not the case right now, I simply gonna select it and remove that. And if, by the way, you're getting bothered by the architectural grid lines and you just wanted to get rid of them, simply click on or press on VG to reach out to visibility and graphics settings. Now, since we wanted to work with the grid lines that is not included into this current file and was already part of the architectural model, so this time, instead of working with this tab, I need to go and reach out to Revit links. So simply reach out to Revit links, click on by host view, simply put it on custom, so then you would be able to work with this. And then reach out to annotation categories, again put this on custom, and just navigate down until you found the grid lines. So there you go, the grid lines. I simply just uncheck this, so then no longer would be a problem. And they're gone. The only grid lines that right now you can see is the structural grid lines. So now what I'm going to do is to simply make sure that all the bubbles are going to get perfectly organized here. Alright. And just make sure that the letters or the numbers are also organized. So I'm going to put this as A, B, and there you go. Here I'm going to start 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is already fine. Now it's time to just simply add the structural columns. So I simply gonna go up there to reach out to the structural column, click onto the drop down, simply choose the structural column, and then if you just simply click on this drop down onto the properties tab, you can reach out to the different cross sections and with the different materials. So I'm going to go with this one, M concrete rectangular column. But according to the design, as you can see, the size that we already considered for the columns is 30 times 20 centimeters. So I need to modify the size. So in order to modify the size, simply reach out to the edit type, duplicate your column, put the size on. So it's going to be 300 times 200. And then simply put this as 0.3 and this one as 0.2. So since we're done with modifying the cross section of the concrete columns, now we're all ready to zoom in and place the columns. There is one important point that you guys need to take a look on, which is always and always need to put this on height, and the level that you need to put should be the following level. So meaning that if you're starting from level 1, then the next level should be on level 2. You can either bring the point viewer to the intersection of the grid lines and simply place the column, or you can either go with the add grids or add column. So here I'm going to go with add grids, simply zoom out, and just as you can see, simply choose all the grid lines and simply click on finish. Now I'm going to go to the 3D to see how the columns are getting placed. So it's all fine. Now earlier than simply copy paste the columns all the way up to the upper levels, there is another important point that you guys need to take a look on. The point is, earlier than copy pasting up, you need to make sure that the top offset and the base of the column is all fine, meaning that the top offset should be up to the point that it's getting extended just lower than the lower part of the beam. So this is super important, because if you don't respect that and simply just copy paste the column and later on just draw your beams, you're going to see that it's going to be a whole mess, and you wouldn't be able to simply shirt the column at that point, because the beams are going to get unjoined at that point. So what you need to do is to simply right click on all the first floor's columns, as you can see, and simply make sure that the top offset is going to be to minus 0.30, like that. And now we're all ready to copy paste the columns all the way up. So I'm going to simply click onto the copy to clipboard, then next to that paste from the clipboard, align to the selected levels, choose level 2, level 3 and level 4. Alright, so there is one point that you guys need to take a look on. Once you're copy pasting like that, paste align to the selected level, since we already had the column onto the first level, then you guys don't need to choose the level 2. So you just have to choose the level T and level 4. So what I'm going to do here is to just simply Ctrl Z, because if you don't do that, then you're going to have the columns on the first floor getting on top of each other, or basically replacing each other, which we don't want it to have something two times, right? So simply just choose the column here, again copy to the clipboard, paste align to the selected levels, and here just choose level 3 and 4, unless you would be copy pasting the same columns all on the same place, right? We don't want it to do that. And here I just wanted to choose the level 2 and level 3 columns by holding the control, as you can see. And here at this point, it is super important to also choose the base offset. So I just wanted to adjust the base offset in a way so then they will get placed on top of the slab, right? I don't want the columns to get into these slabs. So that is the value that I need to put here. But this value is not important and should not be there for the first columns, or let's say for the first floor's column. So I'm going to simply just select all the columns here. And as you can see, the base offset is on 0. So now we're all fine. Now, in order to make sure that those sort of columns that are redundant, we just realize them and simply remove them, I'm gonna press on VG to simply make the architectural model getting appear here. As you can see, so what I need to do is to simply select those sort of columns that are not into the design and simply take them off, as you can see. So now we're all fine with the columns. And now the next point is to how we would be able to initiate to put on the foundation, or let's say the isolated foundation or the footings. So in order to put on the footings on the columns, what I need to is to reach out to level 1. So simply, right, so you can see the structural column up there. Now at this point, no longer needing the architectural model. So simply by pressing on VG, I would be able to reach out to the Revit link and simply uncheck this box, right? So you just left with the grid lines and the columns there. Perfect. So now in order to add the footings, I simply gonna reach out to the structure tab, go with the footings, isolated foundation, and the size of the footing that we have considered for this is Since the size of the column is 20 times 30, the size that we considered for the footings is going to be 50 times 50. So simply click on this edit type and duplicate your footing. I'm going to put it on 500 times 500, and the depth that we wanted to work with this is going to be 300 millimeters. So the foundation thickness, I'm going to put it as 0.3. The width is going to be 0.5. The length is also going to be 0.5. All right. Now, in order to add them, I can simply choose the grid line. So I simply put this at grid, and then just a bit zoom out and choose all the grid lines. Click on finish. Now, if you just simply reach out to the 3D, let's simply hide the architectural model by reaching out to VG, getting to the Revit link, uncheck this box, and as you can see, the isolated foundation are getting perfectly done here. All right. So now at this point, we are all ready to start up modeling the beams. Okay. So in order to build up all the beams, I simply gonna go and reach out to the level 2. Again, what I need to do is to simply hide the architecture file. All right. And now I would be able to reach out to beam from the structure tab. Simply click on this drop down. You would be able to reach out to the M concrete rectangular beam. And now, according to the design that you can see here, the size of the beam that we have considered for this design is going to be in this way, with 30 centimeters depth with 20 centimeters width. And in this direction, it's going to be with 30 centimeters depth and also 30 centimeters width. Okay, so I simply gonna go to the edit type, duplicate the beam, put it on 300 times 300, click on OK, click on OK, and simply put the reference level at level 2, and now you're all ready to start up doing the beams. All right, so what I'm going to do is to simply start from here and draw the beams, as you can see. Okay. So we're all fine with this direction. For the another direction, what I need to do is to simply, again, reach out to the edit type, duplicate, put this on 300 as the depth, and the width this time is going to be 200 millimeters. Simply click on OK, and just like next to the B, put 0.20. Click on OK. Now, instead of just simply start drawing this time I'm going to show you how to use the grid lines. So simply click on grid, and then you would be able to choose by simply holding the control button, choose both of these grid lines and simply click on finish. So as you can see, the other side of the beam, the other side direction, the beams are also getting perfectly done. I'm going to bring you to the 3D so then you can see them. Now what I need to do is to simply just select all the beams with right click on it, put it on select all instances visible on view, and also adding those sort of other beams as well to them. Now I'm simply gonna click on copy to the clipboard, paste, align to the selected level, bring them to the level 3 and 4. Okay, so now if I simply turn on the architectural model, I can see what are those sort of beams that are redundant, and I simply can remove them. So simply press on VG, to the Revit links, check this box, and now I would be able to simply remove all those sort of beams that are not demanded into our file. All right, again, I'm gonna turn off the Revit link. Perfect. Always and always don't forget to save your file to just make sure that you're all fine with whatever you have done so far. So now the next step is to do the secondary beams, or to fill up all these sort of spans with the beam system. So in order to do that, first of all, you need to make sure that the frame that you wanted to use here in this sort of spans is already included in this. So here, first of all, in order to ensure that that frame is already added into our library part, I simply gonna go to the beam, but I wouldn't be able to see the joist here, right? Because I'm looking for a joist here. So in order to bring the joist into our file, I simply gonna click on load family here. And then this is the address that you guys need to reach out. So basically you need to go to the C, program data, Autodesk Revit with the version that you're working with it, then US metric, structural framing, steel, and among all those sort of steel that you guys need to work with it, I'm going to choose the MG joist girder. Simply click on open. I simply going to choose all the sizes with the help of just holding the shift. Click on OK. And now I simply gonna click on edit type to make sure that the size that here it's added is working with my design. So the one that I wanted to use, I wanted to make sure that the depth is no more than 25 centimeters. So I simply gonna click on duplicate, put this 50 on, for example, 25. Click on OK, and simply just gonna put this on 25, the depth. Just let's leave whatever other parameters or dimensions that we have here as what it is. Simply click on open. Now we are all fine to start drawing the beam system. So in order to add the beam system, I simply need to reach out to the level 2. Simply bring the point viewer onto the beam system from the structure tab. Make sure that the one that you have chosen on this beam type is the one that you just created. So you're all fine with it. Now the distance that you would like to have these beams getting placed there, like for mine, is going to be on 1.2. All right. So if you bring the point viewer up there, the direction of the all secondary beams is going to be in this way. If you bring it in that way, then it's going to be like that. So I'm going to go with this one. So simply click on it. And then with that one, I'm gonna go in this way. To just make sure that the pattern that we're using is sort of the chest pattern. Perfect, so we're all fine. Now I simply gonna go to the 3D. As you can see. Now as you can see, the top part of all these secondary beams are all getting aligned with the girder here. But what I need to have is to make sure that all those sort of the joists are getting 5 centimeters up the main beams. So then at the time that the slab is going to get added, they're all going to get interlocked together. So what I need to do is to simply click on this sort of cut lines to choose the beam systems like that. And what I'm going to do is to simply bring this up to 5 centimeters up, as you can see. So now we're all fine. Now again, I need to choose them all. I simply chose those sort of beam system. Gonna go with the copy to the clipboard, paste, align to the selected levels, and make sure that they're getting up there. Okay, so we're all fine with the third level. And the last one, it's simply gonna be only this one. So simply click on it, paste, align to the selected level, and simply put it on level 4. All right, so we are all fine with the beam systems. So now the last part is to simply add the concrete slab. So in order to add the concrete slab, I simply gonna reach out to the level 2, the size of the thickness of the slab that we have chosen for this type of the structure is going to be 15 centimeters. So I simply going to click on this slab, going to reach out to the edit type, simply click on duplicate, simply going to put it as slab, reach out to the edit, make sure that the thickness is all fine. And now you can use the draw window to simply define the boundary. What I'm going to do is to simply choose the rectangle one, starting up from this till the midpoint of the other span, as you can see. And now simply you can click on finish. So I'm going to go to the 3D. Now, in order to make sure that whatever I'm seeing here is only the RC elements, and simply I wanted to hide the analytical lines. So if you reach out to the lower bar here, you can simply hide the analytical model. All right. So what I need to do here is to simply bring up the slab only just 15 centimeters up there. So I just simply select it, go up there to the properties tab, and simply put it as 0.15, as you can see. So now we're all fine with this. Now what I'm gonna do is to simply get back to the level 2, choose this slab, and simply copy paste that to the other spans. Just make sure to modify the boundary part here. Again, I'm going to go with create similar and do another one here. And the last one. Like that. Simply click on finish, and now you can reach out to the 3D. Make sure that the offset of all these sort of slabs are all fine. Put them on 0.15. And now what I need to do is to simply choose the ones that need to get copy paste up to the upper levels. Simply click on copy to the clipboard, paste align to the selected levels, and put it on level 3. And the last one, simply just bring the point viewer to the edge and simply press the tab until you reach out to the slab. Copy to the clipboard, paste align to the selected level, put it on level 4. Alright, so we're all fine with this. I simply gonna just modify the pattern here. With the help of align, you would be able to readjust the boundary. And simply click on finish. Alright, so as you can see, this is the final concrete model of this building, as you can see. So thank you so much for your time, and into the next video I'm going to show you guys how to reinforce the columns, the beams, the footings, the slabs with all the longitudinal and transverse rebars. Okay, so don't forget to check that out. Thank you so much for your time, and that's it. Bye for now.